So this right here is game number 1 of a best of 1. So I'll adjust that up so anyone watching on the VODs or who just happens to tune in halfway through knows the series order. It's going to be going down on King Sejong Station, and it's going to be a nice little bit of Zerg versus Protoss. Spawning up to the top left hand position, we've got our red Zerg player representing Team Liquid, Snute. And down to the lower right, his opponent, the blue Protoss player representing Team PK, GunGFuBanDa. They have a really cool logo. What even is that? I don't quite know what that is. It's something wearing a hat, and that's a cool hat. I don't even know how that's a thing, but anyway. Snute, he's just chilling. He's repping HyperX, the way all good Team Liquid players do. So yeah, as I was saying before I went live here, of course, Snute is someone I'm really glad to be seeing, getting a little bit of a peek at his gameplay, because I've actually arranged a show match between him and Empire's Happy on Friday. That's a $200 show match, best of 7. Going to be going on here at 8 PM Central European time on Friday the 23rd, so make sure you tune in to stream for that. Ooh, and in terms of openings, you've got some sneaky stuff coming down. Snute there, getting a pull first. Not too sneaky, actually, thinking about it. It is up against a Protoss player, so not crazy yet. GunGFu, he's opening up with the double gases really early. That is actually a really early double gas before the cyber core's even been made, before the gateway's even finished. So, due to this, wouldn't be in the slightest surprise to see some very tech-heavy opening. Maybe something proxy. There's a lot of good locations to proxy stuff around on King Sejong Station that can be a right nuisance to deal with. So I'm excited to see what we're going to be going over. So yeah, waiting to see everything that's basically going to be playing out. But for the most part, it's going to be an aggressive play out of GunGFu. It's a best of 1, so going for something like a proxy, going for something very aggressive can work out really nicely for you. And generally speaking, the thought process of a lot of players when they're up against someone who they potentially view as a very strong opponent is to try and just get a quick win somewhere. Maybe it'll work out well for them. Snute though, he's going to go and take his third. This is relatively early third base, considering that he hasn't seen too much yet. Just waiting for the moment, is going to start it up anyway, but he's still somewhat limited in information. Knows that it should be a gateway expand because he hasn't died yet. There isn't a proxy 2 gate beating away at him. Going to be picking up these 2 gases, and it'll be interesting to see whether he starts clicking on these, starts trying to get a little peek at how much gas is being mined. But no, just coming through this overlord, getting a little look at everything that's there. A sentry is on its way out, and the natural base being taken here for GunGFu. Snute though, he's looking pretty steady, pretty happy. Just adding in that third hatch, adding in a lot of gas. This is for Zergling speed. May opt for a quicker roach run. A lot of that comes down to playstyle, how you want to go for it. Some Zerg players like getting the roaches out quicker. Some players just say, well, if I get me some speedlings, I can prevent any proxy pylons coming down. But that's only if they come in the normal place, and the probe heading over to the left here doesn't seem to be doing anything normal as of yet. Notice GunGFu's gas amount. This could definitely be a proxy Stargate. It's quite a nice position for it. Not the closest you can get, but it can be a little bit awkward. Other things, proxy Dark Shrines, proxy Twilight Councils for Blink, any kind of hidden tech is going to really benefit from being down in this position. Stargate will benefit, it's a bit closer and it won't get scouted, but it just depends on the rush distance. You can build them up to the side here where equally they're not too likely to get spotted. So just because it's further away, I think this Twilight Council is the best decision. GunGFu has 2 big options off that Twilight Council now. He can look for Blink, try and catch Snute off guard with that. May go for Dark Templar. Dark Templar, of course, another great way to really catch an opponent off guard. I'd argue that the Dark Templar are more all-in. If they don't work out, you've actually wasted quite a lot. And if we look, Snute, he's already prepared for those Dark Templar. Getting 1 Spore Crawler down. He knows something's happening, but just not entirely sure what. This is a cute little trick as well. Spreading some Creep Tumor out the back way of his natural base, just to keep an eye on everything going on by these debris. He's also got a lot of Zerglings with speed coming down, but it's going to be up against GunGFu's DTs. They take quite a while to hit the field though. A lot of time to get down. And yeah, this is going to be a little bit annoying. There are 4 sentries there, so they can, oh sorry, 3 sentries and a zealot, so they should be able to hold for a long time. But what Snoot's doing here is he is just trying to check, what's my opponent got? Where's the money going? Do I see any immortals? Do I see any robo facilities? Because for the most part, Snute is somewhat limited in information. He doesn't really see anything big. Should have seen the +1 though coming through there from the forge. So he knows that it's some kind of ground-based play. Seeing the sentries may convince him that it's some kind of an immortal sentry play, but he hasn't seen any immortals, nor has he seen the robotics facility. So Snoot's still not completely 100% on what's coming. He hasn't scouted the Dark Shrine, which is about to finish up, nor does he know about this proxy pylon. And there is only, for now, that single spore cooler. This could get fun. The lair's done, we can see some overseers, but will they be there in time? 2 Dark Templar coming forward. Spore cooler has been seen. These DTs, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? A 3rd one coming in. Okay. This is a bit more of a commitment coming down now from GunGfu. It's like I've got 3 DTs. I'm going to try and kill shit. Can he kill it though? 3rd base is looking pretty vulnerable, if we're honest. No detection there. There is an overlord, but it's not morphed into an overseer yet. GunGfu has to do some good damage here. What's he going to go for? The queen should be the first target. The swipes of those DTs start coming through. They've got +1, so they're really starting to hurt. The drone's hugging around. They're literally trying to force the Dark Templar out of the position of the hatch, and they're succeeding in doing so. Overseer now morphing, but this hatchery taking a lot of damage already. It's probably going to go down. The Overseer will not be done in time. The Queen, that's dead as well. A couple of drones will bite the dust, and that is the sort of damage that GunGfu was certainly hoping for. Getting that 3rd hatch down is infuriatingly annoying to a Zerg. It's instantly remade as well as a spore, plus the element of surprise that the Dark Templar's got. The attempt at a 3rd Nexus denied now by these speedlings, but look at what's coming up behind. Some immortals hitting the field, quite a few sentries, and no 3rd base. Snute doing everything in his power to get information, and he knows a lot of stuff already. Knows about that robotics facility. And he knows about the DTs. So while Snute lost his 3rd hatch, he's in no way out of this game yet. He instantly remade it. He's still up in the work account, and he's got some pretty good tech. Plus, he's got scouting information. He now knows everything that GunGfu's got in his hand. Only thing he hasn't seen is this robotics bay. But he also knows that this is unlikely to be a 2 base all-in. Off the back of this, they DTs into an immortal sentry build because of the attempt at a 3rd. Couple of speedlings trying to find a way to get in there, try and get the wraparound, but just a few too many units with the Mothership Core and the Archon. So just back out, doesn't want to try and trade for nothing. So Snute, playing it a bit more cautious. He does have a lot of roaches on the field actually. This is quite interesting. With quite a sizable count of roaches, he could get aggressive. Where's his money going? Okay, so he's making drones still, so he's not going to be committing too much to this. But he's still got a decent amount of units on the field. A couple of hallucinated Phoenix going to be coming through, trying to get a bit more information, trying to find out everything that could be on the cards. Good potential 4th base for Snute, down to the left there, considering that he's taken out these rocks. It would keep him as far away from GunGfu as he can. Meanwhile though, GunGfu, he's putting on some pressure. This isn't a push that's meant to try and kill your opponent. This is the sort of push that is meant to keep your opponent defending, so you can safely secure this 3rd and get a decent income going from it. The most critical part of this for GunGfu is that this army doesn't die, and the way he can make sure that doesn't happen is keeping the Mothership Core alive. Then he's got the mass recall out. And it's exactly what he's going to use. Backs out, sees there's quite a lot of stuff here for Snute, and this could actually panic GunGfu. He doesn't have very much in the way of army supplies, under half of what Snute has, and Snute, he's barreling down the 3rd base, coming in hot and hard. What can GunGfu do about this? He needs to utilize some good force fields, and that's what he's going for. Hitting them on the mark, nice and quick. Colossus just gets out now, but only 1 Colossus isn't too terrifying. What is a bit more scary is the +2 that's already gone for GunGfu. And Snute, he's just biding his time. Few force fields come through now. Is the Colossus gonna get focused? Can't yet. Backs away from those roaches. The force fields zone out about half of them, and the ones that are up close and personal are starting to die, but not before they've done a good little bit of damage. Snute though still trading worse than GunGfu, but what he's able to do behind this is take on a 4th hatch and also get a good look at what his opponent's doing. In direct response, Snute, he chucks down that infestation pit. He's got +1 missile attacks, nearly finished. And remember, Snute's the sort of player who is not afraid to go swarm hosts. Him and Stefano probably the two biggest advocates of the swarm host style play in EU. And he uses it very effectively. Hive also coming down, so may not be swarm host, could just be a quick rush up into Vipers in order to get those abducts down. But what's interesting is the lack of the Hydralisk den. Generally, if you see a quick rush into Vipers, it's because you're going to go for Roach Hydra Viper. Without the Hydralisks, you're lacking a bit of that high DPS, so that can make it a little bit tough. So we'll wait to see what Snute does to do that. The advantage of going for these Roaches, of course, is just you can max out quicker. Forward he goes now. Coming straight up, tries to take down that Colossus. It gets out with just 2 HP. The Immortal count rising steadily as well, but it's a flank from behind that's going to cause a lot more of those problems. In come those Roaches from every angle, dealing a lot of damage. The Immortals still dishing it out though, they're racking up a good few kills between them. But the number of support units for those Immortals quickly dwindling. One force field able to be spared, but is it going to be enough? The Immortal still trying to be focused, attempting to be taken down. It's surviving and holding well for the moment, but it's not going to last much longer. Down that Immortal goes. And while Snute has had to back out, he cleared all of the expensive, all of the powerful units. The Immortals, the Colossus, they're all dead. Behind this though, Snute is having to contend with a little bit of drop play. 3 Zealots and a Dark Templar, always a bit of a nuisance. But he's fended it off for the moment, and now just has to deal with this push at his 4th. Decent number of Speedlings going for the wraparound. While Blink is done, Speedling's still very effective, but not with more Stalkers coming through. There's just a lot of stuff here for GunGfu, and Snute needs to buy time to get these 17 Roaches out, to utilize these Vipers well. Spore Crawlers coming down just in case more DTs take a showing, and that's exactly what GunGfu's counting on, is getting that harassment done. Both players poising for position, and while Snute did some good damage with that last push across the map, by taking down those Colossi and Immortals, he hasn't done kind of any death blow yet. Nothing that GunGfu can't catch back up by keeping Snute back at home defensive. The critical thing for Snute is the 4th base. He's got to keep that if he wants to keep this going. War Prism did get abducted there, but nothing to actually kill it. And again, we're seeing in this spot where we're like, okay, well, are we just going to be counting on the Spore Crawlers? Are we just going to be counting on the Queens for the anti-air? Looks like Snute does want to do that. He's spending a lot of energy to kill that War Prism, but it's worth it. The War Prism has single-handedly probably caused the most damage to Snute in terms of his infrastructure, just allowing those drops to come in and really causing him to sit back and have to wait it out. Hydrogen now coming through, but it's going to be contending up against a Templar Archives here for GunGfu. But note that's only just finished, and while some High Templar are morphing in, there won't be Storm for a long time, and that means the Hydras are still going to be big damage dealers, especially when the Colossus count isn't that high yet. Roaches and Vipers pushing across the map, and it's the 3rd base that Snute is going to be targeting. He wants to get the kill here, and if he's able to secure it, we're going to have a very, very happy Zerg player. The Templar Archive's in a bit of an exposed spot, but it's the Colossi that have to be careful. The Vipers need to be wary of any feedbacks coming from those High Templar. Forward Snute goes, couple of feedbacks onto the Overseers, not getting that incredibly important Viper energy. 1 Colossus grabbed, taken down. 2 Vipers though, hit by a feedback. They lose their energy for any further abducts, but it's not going to matter. Snute, he's barreling down the front, getting a lot of damage down, and while his Roaches are starting to fall, he's done a fair bit of damage yet again. Not trading that cost effectively, but he's throwing away Roaches. Unfortunately, behind this, Snute has lost his 4th base. That was the big lifeline he had to stay real good in this game. He needed this 4th base of economy and production. So he's in some problems now, especially when we factor in that GunGfu is attempting to take his 4th. The double expansion is probably the best thing Snute can be doing right now. By double expanding, he's just making sure that he will still stay a base up. And he doesn't even know that this has been taken. All he knows is that the Overlord he had spreading creep over there has died. And therefore, there's probably a 4th base trying to get taken or imminently going to be taken. Snute getting into his comfort zone though, identifying that past the 20-minute mark we're getting into the late game stages. Wants to switch it into Swarm Hosts. Now, love them or hate them, they're an incredibly effective unit to use late game up against Protoss. You can just start wearing your opponent down. And that wearing away is what Snute is counting on, right? Unfortunately, he's got to get a fair few of them out. 5 swarm hosts aren't too scary. And that means that Snute needs to lose some of his supply that's tied up in these roaches. But he needs to do that cost effectively. Needs to make sure that he's only losing a couple at a time and dealing some nice damage with them. Another snipe down to the 4th there from GunGFu's army. He's got the mothership core in position as well, so if need be, can recall back to his own 4th. But he's about to take out the 5th base of Snute, and this is a problem for Snute. He's going to take a bit more damage here, should just be able to save that hatchery, but it's by the skin of his teeth. Very frustrating. Quick little recall back, and actually one of those Colossi taking a surprising amount of damage from the roaches. And what this has done is Snute, he's done a nice bit of damage, wasted some mothership core energy, managed to just keep his 5th up, but more importantly, he's freed up supply in order to get down those swarm hosts. Retaking his 4th, really wants that secured. And the only plus side is while Snute's economy isn't fantastic, he's going into a swarm host composition. And we all know that can be ridiculously cost effective if controlled right. And it's one way that a Zerg player can kind of make back ground from being a little bit struggling on the economic side. War Prism yet again going to be trying for some drops. May just decide to drop and try and take out this 5th. May decide to go into the main base and get some of the key tech. The trouble for Snute is that he's spread out quite a long way, so either, no matter where he goes, he's going to be finding it difficult to get back, especially as his supply switches over into swarm hosts. Few Hydras already in position though, snipe down that War Prism, exactly the pickoff that Snute's looking for to prevent any further aggression. Also going to be losing a couple of roaches here. This frees up supply, but is it going to be freed up in a slow enough trickle that he can actually get those swarm hosts out in order to defend this counter push? GunGFu moving forward. He's down a little bit in supply, but remember, a lot of Snutes isn't out on the field yet. He needs these 14 swarm hosts to be in a good position to get these waves of locusts working and wearing down GunGFu's army. The 5th of Snute, yet again in some trouble, but a roach counterattack will at least try and level out this damage. Couple more Zealots moving in towards the 3rd, and there isn't really anything to defend this. Snute being pulled all over the shot to try and defend everywhere at once. Transfuse is hitting that hatch. He needs to keep this up. Even the drones getting involved, trying to hold this as long as possible. Meanwhile, the Colossi, they're charging forward into that natural. Quick abducts on the Colossi, some good blinding clouds actually stopped that engagement, triggering the mass recall out. Throughout all of this intense action, we've seen that Snute has been able to take down the 4th of GunGFu. Really trapping GunGFuBanDa on really one base worth of economy since his natural is nearly mined out. And this is, long term, a problem for our Protoss player. Now we've got the swarm hosts out, and they're going to be just sending wave upon wave of locusts in his direction. He needs all the money that he can get in order to defend this. Still waiting, still keeping a good little check on everything that could be coming through. But for the most part, the longer this game is going on, I feel the more Snute's getting a handle on it. Not to say that GunGFu isn't doing a fantastic job. These Zealot harassments are exactly what he needs to make sure that Snute can't just start that slow siege with the swarm hosts. Picking off these bases prevents Snute from getting that overwhelming economy that he wants to avoid above all else. But GunGFu, while he's doing that, has to make sure that his own expansion management is up to par. Because if he doesn't have the money, and specifically the gas that he's really lacking at the moment, he won't have the Colossus count, he won't have the Templar count in order to deal with wave upon wave of locusts. So for the moment, GunGFu at 154 supply to 190 of Snute, and we're just past the 27-minute mark in this game. In come a few more roaches. They're getting a little bit damage done at this natural base, but yet again, defensive DTs being a pain. The Colossi, though, they're going to town on this 5th base. No cancel, and Snute loses 300 minerals, and another attempt at that base. Still waiting patiently to see whether GunGFu dares move forward. Note that his mothership core, where even is that? Okay, so it is with his army, but it's just a bit short of energy for a mass recall. Could be why we're seeing GunGFu be quite cautious. We've also still got these roaches being beautifully microed with burrow tech, just to snipe out as many of these Stalkers as possible. Another Dark Templar warping in, but not going to help considering the fact that there is an Overseer there. Big engagement though. A lot of these swarm hosts have been forced to move back, but some great abducts allow 2 of those Colossi to go down. Storms clear a wave of Locusts, but with a reburrow, the swarm hosts, including the hero, leading the charge, going to be trying to clear up some distance. A couple of High Templar going to fall to their death, and it's the Locusts forcing back this Protoss force yet again. GunGFu, he's in a bad spot. He's down at only 93 supply compared to Snute's 197. And Snute, if he's able to deny this 4th base, has got this game in the bag. But then and only then can he guarantee it. Because for the moment, his own economy isn't that great. And while he's got a big army, he's in trouble. Oh no, the High Templar! Just chilling there. Oh, the High Templar. That's painful to watch. That was very painful to watch. Those poor High Templar. That was like 6 of them went down. There's been 10 High Templar killed, and that was like the majority of them. That's something GunGFu could not afford to lose there. And Snute going to be rubbing his hands in glee. Good number of spores around there, just predominantly to make sure that observers can't get close. Make sure that there's no detection for those swarm hosts. But still, neither player wanting to close this out anytime yet. Snute is starting to edge forward. He's getting more aggressive. He's also got to be cautious because this army, while not very sizable, is still quite irritating. Natural base isn't the big problem. Vipers are coming over to deal with this, but it's the swarm hosts actually coming from the flank. Going to be trying to intercept this Protoss force as quickly as possible. A few Stalkers go down. Both players setting pretty high upgrades. 3-3 done. Oh, beautiful abducts there. High Templar getting caught as well. That really hurts. These gas-heavy units GunGFu can't afford to be losing, getting sniped down. Of course, abducting a High Templar does mean that you risk getting feedback. That's always a problem. Not too much else for the moment. Just a little bit of a production camp coming down from Snute. Takes out a Colossus as it comes through, and this is actually a lot of roaches. GG, and Snute takes this game as GunGFu just decides he's not going to be able to ramp up his supply anytime soon.